Well, hello everybody. I'm down here, down in the corner. Look at me. I just have to stay out of the way of my own plan here because I'm going to be dragging these units around and organizing them for your own viewing pleasure. That's right. I am going to tell you of all these global fest units, of all these warriors of the crystal, which ones you should be pulling for, if you should not be pulling, or whatever. So basically, I've got them split up into several categories here. They can be a pull, an elemental focus pull. That means that if you are very focused on that element, then you would likely want to grab them. And then there's just great all-around pulls. And if we put them in that category, then literally doesn't matter what element you're in, you could pull for that unit. So let's start with the warriors of the crystal because they come back a little bit more frequently than the global fest units do. And we're going to start with Joom. And I'm actually going to put Joom over into the great all-round category because she is a really strong physical tank, and I think that anybody can use her. They can use her in traps if you'd want to bait some ice players with your fire units, but you can also just use her in general, and she's going to be really great for you. Even if you have King Mont, she's a solid pickup. It allows you to pivot into wind. If you're already in wind and you don't have her, then she's a must pull. But if you don't have her and you're not into wind, you could still grab her and it would be a good idea. Now, that doesn't mean you have to grab her, right? Like, you don't have to do that. But I'm just saying, that's where I would rank her. That's how good I think Joom is. That's actually higher than what I ranked her when she first came out. I said if you had King Mont, you could just skip her. But I myself would grab her if I wasn't such a patient man, where I thought to myself, I want to grab a bunch of lightning units in the next few months, and I also want to keep a stock of Visior for any hidden fire units that come our way. Please, Gumi, please give us some fire units. Now, joining Joom in the great all-round pull is going to be Velis. And you know what I need to do here is actually, Joom, you're get down the list. Okay, Velis is at the very top. Velis is the best. He is such a good unit, and he's literally elementalist. He can go into any composition. You put him with two bruisery types or with a tank and a carry, and he will heal them. He's going to put haste onto everybody. He enables light teams, him and two light units, him and two dark units, him and two fire units, him on, I guess you could use ice if you really wanted to. But basically, he is a fantastic proven rainbow unit, and again, literally everybody can benefit from having him if you don't already have him. He's really great for guild battle defense because people just have no legitimate way to know what's on the other side unless they've scouted your defenses and you're not switching it up. So I just think that he's way up there as well. Now, Astrius, you might think Astrius is also in the great all-round pull. I'm actually going to put him in the elemental focus. So I think it's kind of hard to believe that you're a water player and you didn't pull for Astrius, but maybe you're new to the game and you want to power up your water accounts. He's going to be really good for you. I mean, that's kind of weird to say. I think if you're new to the game, you could pull him and be happy anyway, but at the end of the day, like for my account, would I get use out of him? Yes, but I would get the best use out of him if I had a full water team to go alongside with him, or at least more water units. I think you need to have at least like a decent, like if you have Celas, then I think Celas and Astrius are going to be fine, again, with Velis, right? Put a Velis in there, you're good to go. But I think that if players are thinking about how to improve their accounts, he's a really good choice, but he's more in that elemental focus category for me. There's two Warrior of the Crystals left. Okay, we got Satya and we got Ranell. And we're going to leave them over here on the left. Now, I guess it's kind of weird. I think Ranell, I think for sure, like there's so much going on with Lightning. There's so many more options, including a Bara right above him. You just leave him, right? He's not a bad unit, but he's just not pushed that far. He's not a meta unit. You can leave him. Satya, I actually think Satya is the best fire unit in the game, and that's big praise. Obviously, I use her all the time. Her imperil and her defense breaks and her penetration make a really big difference, and she can actually win a lot of matches. She certainly had more longevity than people guessed, but she's also not rampant in the meta by any means at all. So I guess we could say she is an elemental focus pull, but I don't think you should be focusing on fire, and it breaks my heart to say that because I'm a fire player. But if I want to give unbiased advice to people, I'm not going to be telling them to be pulling fire units, right? Like, that's a one-way street to Sad Town. By the way, speaking of the Warrior of the Crystal, I don't know that you even really want to pull for them right now, given the collabs that are coming up, but also given the banner structure that they gave us. There's basically no way to get them unless you pity one of them, and that means you have to be prepared to go a full 40k deep with your Visior, and I can't really endorse that right now. It's why I'm not trying to pick up Joom or Velis just yet, but I might try to grab them in the future if a better deal presents itself. There's also no shard daily guild pulls or anything like that, so it's kind of a bummer. So it's not the best banner. I mean, it's a fair banner. So if you really do need one of these units for your teams, you can get them right now. But I might just wait till they come back in the future, which again, they will return in the future. Part of looking at these units and their longevity as well is looking at support units having more longevity in terms of, like, Velis is going to be good for a long time and Joom's going to be good for a really long time. We don't get that many healers and tanks released compared to damage dealers, where we get a lot of them released. So that's another reason to feel safe pulling for Joom and for Velis. Okay, so let's talk about the Global Fest units. They don't come along nearly as often. I like that they have a little bit better of a banner this time, in terms of that you can, if you pity Zazan on the banner, and so this is very specific to if you want Zazan, you can also then get a ticket for another unit and then pick up a second unit if you wanted to. However, you would miss out on getting shards, and this is assuming that you're going for Zazan. If you don't want Zazan, then it's not nearly as good of a banner, because really you're pulling to pity a unit that you already have or don't want, and then you have to use all of those fragments or those medals on the unit with the select ticket, rather than actually getting, you know, a unit rate up on the unit on the banner. So I guess now that I think about it, it's not the best banner unless you specifically want Zazan and you want Zazan and somebody else. So another reason to maybe wait for better banners, maybe at an anniversary or a half anniversary. We don't know. For the next Glex, we don't know what's going to happen. So let's rate these units. We're going to start with Esther, our newest unit, and I think that she's proven to be very powerful and incredibly durable against physical damage, and definitely weak against magic damage, but still I think she's incredibly solid in a lightning team. So if you're a lightning main or want to get into the lightning element, then she's going to be a fine choice for you. And similarly, I would put Ibarra in there as well. However, I think Esther would be my pick over Ibarra, but I also think Ibarra is really good. I also think Ibarra's VC is really, really strong as well, and it's a high consideration if you're thinking you're going to be in Lightning for a long time. Even if you don't get Ibarra, if you think you're going to be in Lightning for a long time and you want to get this magic, general purpose magic VC, then those banners aren't so bad for the global exclusive VCs. Now, I'm going to do a video on Zazan later where I talk a little bit more about his specific upgrades, but he is safely in the elemental focus as well. Now, there are lots of different earth compositions that you can work with. You've got Catone and Moraga, but more importantly, you've got Oberon and Noctis, although Noctis is limited. There's good earth options, and Macherie is going to be a great earth option. Now, earth is in a really weak spot because of the prevalence of wind right now, but that is temporary. We're going to get a lot of lightning in a little while when lightning from Final Fantasy 13 comes out, but we're also going to get a lot of ice at some point too. And when you look at Snow, who is a good physical tank, Zazan can still penetrate his slash resistance and defense. So I think that there's an option there where Earth can be a factor in future metas. So why not? If you want to build a really strong Earth team, then Zazan with the new VC is going to be quite strong. It's a sub VC for sure, but even without it, his master ability upgrades were very good. I definitely think that he got a solid upgrade, and he can be built multiple ways. I definitely am excited to use my Zazan again. He's also a really fun manual PvP unit, so if you're into manual PvP, then he's really fun to use. Now, Dwayne, we gotta talk about Dwayne. I think that he's just kind of fallen off the map because there's so many good dark units, and when you look at Joker and Leela, they kind of just leave Dwayne behind. Dwayne's not really able to tank or pseudo tank as well as he could before. You know, he's not weak. He's got PvE capabilities because he's got a chaining limit burst, but he also has a defense break, which can really help out his team. He's got a Dark in Peril. You know, he's a really, really solid PvE unit that will come in handy for Dark/chains, and that's a team that a lot of players should think about building just because it carries through so much content and completes lots of missions for you. But at the end of the day, when you look at the price tag, I just can't recommend Dwayne, even though he's not a bad unit. I just don't think he gets up on these levels of these other units, and Dark has so many good things going on right now that just wait. If you don't if you're looking to get into Dark and you don't have like Leela, then wait to get Leela later on, wait to get Dark Fina. Helena, you know, still good, very good. So, and then we have Fryevia, and she is a good tank. Like, she can do some pretty nutty stuff with surviving damage by healing herself and then full lifing a party member. Like, there's a lot going on there. Now, even though you can see some really crazy fights with her, ultimately she's not the strongest tank in the world, and Ice is also going to get Agrius and Snow coming up, and you have your choice of them for less Visior and, you know, less probably investment into the composition. I think they're going to be a lot more plug and play, if you get my meaning. So really, with her upgrades, they're not bad. They're just a good buff for her. But at the end of the day, she's just not she's not a unit that I can really recommend to most players, because she does require quite a bit of work, quite a bit of testing, and you know, my guildmate Diep can really attest to that, because he's been pretty faithful to her and was disappointed that she didn't get pushed just a little bit more. So we've left these units here, we've left them on the side, and we have to kind of figure out what does that mean for these 4 units. They don't actually have a little category, right? Like there's nothing here that we can classify them by. Oh, wait a minute, hold on. Boom. Don't bother. Don't do it. Don't pull for them. Just stay away. Keep yourself and your Visior safe from the risks of these crazy units. What a reveal, am I right? Okay, that's going to be it for this video. It's just kind of a glance at all these different units. There's lots of decisions to make. I think that, you know, a lot of players can just wait for these collabs coming up and get some limited units, because at the end of the day, these are semi-limited units. They come back, right? So at the same time, I'm not going to fault you if you go for anybody on that right column. And if you're in those elements, obviously you want to strengthen those elements. So that middle column, also a good call for you. But otherwise, save your Visior and save your headache of having to pull on these banners, right? Okay, awesome. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you all in the next video.